Good. I was looking forward. It was frozen water, and I'd be dehydrated all day. And it wasn't. I would at least drink some outside in the water fountain. Yeah.
It's 4 o'clock, so I call to order the Planning Commission for July 24th, 2024. And before we get started, to you, Rachel.
Thank you, members of the Planning Commission. Before we get into regular business today, I just wanted to introduce you all and shout out to Natalia Murray. She is our new planning technician, so you'll be seeing her regularly at our meetings. She comes to us from the Harrisonburg area. She's new to our division, like I said, and a recent graduate of James Madison University. So welcome, Natalia, and we're glad you're here.
Welcome.
Thanks.
We will probably run you ragged, so welcome aboard. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes from July 26, 2024. Has everybody had a chance to look those over? Are there any changes?
I move we approve them as written.
Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I think I was absent, so I'll abstain.
Okay. Okay. The new business today is a petition from Beacon Credit Union to rezone approximately 4 3/100 acres located at 5114 and 5208 Woodall Road from I-2 Light Industrial District to B5 General District to allow the construction of a 4-story office building. Rachel, do you have a summary on that?
Thank you. Yes, as the Vice Chair mentioned, the subject property is 4.03 acres at 5114 and 5208 Woodall Road. The purpose of the rezoning is to allow the construction of a 40,000 square foot 4-story office building and associated parking to be used as the corporate headquarters for Beacon Credit Union. The subject property was annexed into the city in 1958 and has been zoned for manufacturing type uses since 1960. The existing I-2 Light Industrial District zoning was established in 1978. The property is recommended for employment 2 uses on our city's future land use map. These areas are intended to include light and heavy manufacturing, research and development, flex space, and large-scale office uses. Restaurant, hotel, and business service uses are also appropriate if scaled and designed to serve the employment area. So as I mentioned, large-scale office uses such as the one proposed are appropriate in employment 2 areas. The proposed rezoning would facilitate the construction of the office building. Again, while the area is designated for employment 2 and large-scale office uses are appropriate in those areas, the proposed B5 General Business District would allow a wide range of uses that may not quite fit into that category. Our zoning ordinance states that council should consider whether the entire range of permitted uses in the requested classification is more appropriate than the range in the existing. The subject property being currently zoned I-2 Light Industrial and proposed for B5 General Business. As noted in the report, if the property is to be developed as proposed, which is shown here, there should be little to no negative impact on the area. However, staff did note some concern over the potential uses that would be allowed by B5 since proffers have not been submitted, which of course are voluntary. B5 does allow uses such as general retail sales, ABC stores, animal boarding, pawn shops, payday loans, etc., that don't quite fit into the employment 2 category. Our city's technical review committee reviewed the petition on July 2nd, 2024. Comments were minor in nature and would be addressed prior to final site plan approval. The planning division recommends approval of the petition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Is there anybody here to speak in favor of the proposal or the petition? Excuse me. If you could sign your name and state your name.
My name is Michael Bryant. I work with Hurt and Profit, and we're representing Beacon Credit Union. I'd be happy to answer any questions y'all may have with this rezoning, with what we're planning. Like you said, it's for a 4-story building, and it's in our opinion that this would be a big benefit to this region, bringing a lot of employees to this area. There's a lot of shops and restaurants in the area with a hotel nearby. You know, it provides an area that out-of-town people could come and stay that would be visiting Beacon. Since it would be a corporate office building, I'd imagine they'd have a lot more big business going on, so as compared to a regular bank. We're proposing to have stormwater management pond on site, and then we're going to probably most likely do purchase of water quality credits for water quality, given the size of the development. The surrounding area, we want to keep a lot of the vegetation that's already around the area for screening, and then just provide landscaping within the parking and around the building. The area is already served by water and sanitary hookup is nearby, so we don't see a big impact from that as well, having to go a long range to get that. We will be coming off of Border Street and then having another entrance off of Woodall Road. And that'll be it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd speak in favor of this? Is there anybody who wishes to speak in opposition to this petition? If not, then the public hearing is closed, and we'll probably start asking you questions, Mr. Bryant. Don't go back.
Yes, I do have a couple. One is going to be directed probably Rachel's direction. One, I'll say I looked at this earlier, and initially I'm a supporter of this. I think this is a great idea. Probably kind of like yes vote for me. That being said, I noted that given the zoning change, Rachel, there doesn't seem to be a practical change from one type of zoning to the other to facilitate something like this. So what's the point of the change?
I'm not sure I understand the question. You said you don't see it as a practical change?
Let me rephrase it. What's the purpose of changing the zoning? Isn't this building already, as proposed, allowed in the current zoning?
It's not allowed in the current zoning, but it is supported by the future land use map.
Okay.
Yeah.
That answers that. I remember another comment in some of the material I read that said something to the effect of, even if approved, there's no guarantee that this is what's going to be built there. What, can you elaborate on that maybe a bit?
Sure. So, while we don't doubt Beacon Credit Union's intentions to develop the property the way they are showing they want to develop the property, without any sort of proffer, then any use allowed by B5 could go in this place. So we don't have an assurance that it would be the corporate office or that it wouldn't be one of those other uses that I mentioned, like general retail, pawn shops, payday loans, things that wouldn't necessarily fit into the employment 2 area.
So what's the confidence level from Beacon? I don't know if they've communicated this with you, that they plan on putting this in. Are we 50%? Are we just...
Well, as soon as we get approval, we're getting the go-ahead to start site plan.
Okay.
So, and we've already done a traffic narrative to look at the impact of the office building with that current use of being used by Beacon. So,
Okay, so it's high.
yes, sir.
Okay.
We've already also done, started an environmental study as well, and started looking at impacts from that perspective as well, and located the stream that's on site and how we would potentially impact that.
Okay, that's all I have.
Would there be a willingness to add a voluntary proffer saying that we fully intend to follow this? Obviously, there's flexibility in that, but this is the use we intend to use it for. And that would just remove that very, very small question mark completely off the table.
The reason that he might be saying, it's not to interrupt, maybe to supplement, this has happened before.
We've seen this a lot.
So y'all been burned once.
Way more than once. Yes.
The challenge, I think in this case, the zoning would prohibit anything funny going in there like has happened in the past.
Right.
I've gotten burned before. I don't think you can end up seeing a 250 unit apartment complex going up between this industrial area. But it is nice to know that you're at the stage you're at.
Right.
And if you know it's going to happen, it's just a matter of stating
Yeah.
that.
Well, I guess given how large and how much B5 would allow, how would that be worded in a way that we're only going to allow this use, or we're going to try to word it in a way that we don't want to allow all these other specific uses that y'all don't want in that area. I'm not sure what you're looking
I
at
don't
to
think we
not
can really
allow.
do that.
Rachel, would you?
There may be just a few things that you want to not allow in that area.
Well, so there's a long list of things that B5 allows. You know, and of course, all of this affects their agreement that they're in with FlowServe, and because, you know, it's ultimately FlowServe's property that we are rezoning. They have a contract on the property to buy it from them. You know, so I don't know that we could figure that out today. I don't know that FlowServe would be able to consent to that right now.
Correct, yeah. Once the sale is done, then this Beacon would be the final
Sure.
say. But
Haven't we used words like just say that we will follow, we would be in substantial compliance with the plans that we're submitting? I don't think it's a
Yes.
major change, but I do have a question. So let's say if we did that, it becomes a B5C, right? So what happens then if Beacon were to build and then not utilize property or to sell it? Not in this case. I'm more curious, like, what happens at B5C? Does that mean that then anything else that comes in after that has to get the approval
Yes,
to
it
be
is.
B5?
It is,
Okay.
well, it's subject to the same conditions.
Okay.
So whatever, if they were to submit proffers.
Coffee
and-
shop, bank headquarters, and whatever the thing, whatever else, there's something else in the lower level that you were looking for.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
So there's 3 ways we typically do proffers. And I do want to emphasize that these are voluntary, and we're not going to say that we're imposing any of these, right? These are up to Beacon and FlowServe. You could proffer the use and say it will only be, the large-scale office, the coffee, I don't know, I can't remember if you mentioned anything else. You could proffer the use, you could proffer the plan and say it'll be substantially compliant with this plan, which you're showing an office building. If
Not
you bring
meaning,
in
of course,
if
that
you
you have to have this size coffee shop, or you
Right.
can't have a sandwich shop or
so
something.
it's just specifically the use that you want to
Right.
make sure we maintain.
I think we're just
Right.
trying to make
Substantial.
sure that it doesn't get developed into something else.
Yeah.
You know.
I understand.
So you can proffer the use, you can proffer the plan, or you can proffer uses out and say, we won't do X, Y, Z that would normally be allowed in a B5.
Which is much easier just to say, proffer the plan or the use, rather than like, we're going to
Typically,
eliminate
that is
these.
more-
That's a lot harder.
That is
to-
more straightforward, but it would be their choice.
Right.
And so, you know, it's up to planning commission to decide whether, you know, you feel comfortable making a recommendation, you know, without the proffer, or if they're indicating that they do want to pursue it, you would have the option to table it. I know you are under a deadline with your contract, so we have to consider that too. Or if you're not as concerned about it, you know, if your confidence level is comfortable, then you could vote on it regardless, so.
And this is Susan with Beacon, so
Yes.
she can more specifically answer the use that they're looking at for the 2 lower levels, or mainly which they're looking to rent out as office space.
Yes, we've looked all over Lynchburg for property. We are going to need the acreage, and this seemed like, you know, a relatively great location for us to move in. It will be our corporate office, and our full intent is to occupy all 4 floors. But until our growth allows us to do that, we had contemplated leasing out the bottom 2 levels for maybe a sandwich shop, a coffee shop, retail offices.
Right.
Anything that we move in there, though, it has to meet our reputation model. So we're not looking for tattoo parlors or, you know, anything, smoke shops or anything like that.
Right.
That doesn't meet our reputation model.
Right.
So if we were following the second option, Rachel, following the plan, that would still allow that?
Just checking the notes.
I'm sure we don't say anything else.
I mean, I just want to make sure we're not shutting any doors.
Right.
Without realizing it.
So they label it just as a proposed building. Correct. So yeah, it doesn't say office coffee sandwich, it just says,
But that would be inclusive of any of that,
right.
yes. So that, I would favor that option as well. It's flexible, it's general, and I would hope that it would not create any time hurdles in making this move forward.
Is that something that can be done today?
If the petitioner was comfortable with it, they could submit that. The other possibility would be for planning commission to make the recommendation without the proffer, since it may not be feasible to come up with it right now. And they would have the option to submit something between now and city council as well. So,
this may sound weird coming from me, but I would suggest submitting it without the proffer, just so you can move forward. The stage you're at seems to me advanced enough that your confidence level putting in is pretty high. You know, we're not rolling the dice here. You know, you guys do have a reputation, and it sounds like if you have to rent some space, that would certainly be normal, given the development of something that size. But that's my personal take.
I would agree. I think one of the things that, if you drive around Lynchburg and anywhere, probably there's a lot of empty bank buildings, so nothing is really permanent, and we know that. So I think that as a partner, the city, it would be great if you could actually offer that at some point, like say, this is how it's going to be, as Chuck was saying, because I don't want to hold this up. I don't want to be the stick in the mud that holds something up, and then next thing you know, you might be in another locality just outside of our borders looking for something similar. So I think that it's a positive, a net positive that we're seeing.
So Rachel, if they added this voluntary proffer, if we recommended approval as is, and they added this voluntary proffer to council, it wouldn't have to come back to us.
correct. We've done that in the past because you were going more restrictive.
Right.
Now, if
So-
it got to council and they felt like that would change your recommendation, they would have the option to send it back to planning commission. However, I don't really see that being the case here.
Right.
We would not allow for it to go the other way, for them to present a proffer at planning commission and then to drop it between city council. That would have to go back to planning commission. But to add the proffer later
Right.
would not change
So
the schedule for council.
I'm fully supporting what we just discussed, and maybe the wording of the minutes can address that, so council, everyone knows where this is going and gives you plenty of time to figure out the best way to do it. But I agree, we don't want to lose this, and I think it's a good option. I did have one other question, if we're done with that topic.
Okay, I want to ask one quick question, because it seems to me in the past, this may be opening a can of worms, but we have said we'll approve the motion pending the proffer to give you the opportunity to go ahead and put that together without any pressure. Is that an option that we could use at this point?
I would shy away from that just because we don't have the property owner here with us.
Perfect. Okay.
And, regardless of a real estate transaction, if council approves it, the zoning is changed. So, I think, we'll absolutely capture what you're saying in the minutes. And I think what I'm hearing is that, you are supportive of the large-scale office use. You maybe do have concerns about some of the B5 uses, and that proffers may be helpful, again, being completely voluntary. So we'll make sure that that's reflected, and council will see that.
And that gives you time to implement that. We can keep moving forward.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know it seems like we're being nitpicky, but we have been, ownership changes, plans change, finances change. It's just nice to know this is what we're going to get what we expect. I did have a question about, you mentioned off-site stormwater credits. So the stormwater plan is not going to be able to accommodate everything by itself, or?
Yeah, typically for a site this size, we'll do detention on site for quantity and then do purchase credits off-site. The advantages to that is that it reduces maintenance to the owner on site, future maintenance, and with the availability of credits, it's a little cheaper option.
just as a question of curiosity, how much supplement is that? I mean, do you figure,
Right now, credits are about,
no, but I'm
13
saying, does the stormwater do like 80% of what, you know, in the stormwater credits? You know, are the additional 20, or is that even the way you calculate it?
No, typically the stormwater quality can sometimes double the cost of
I'm just-
on-site
okay.
stormwater.
I think what
So-
you're getting at, what type of event?
I'm just trying to figure what the threshold is.
Yeah.
Let's just say for the sake of argument that, you know, to meet your credits, you've got to be at 100. And stormwater takes you, we cover what we need to do.
Gotcha, I understand. Yes, for dry detention ponds, which is what we'd be proposing, you're looking at maybe possibly getting 20%, 15, 20% at a minimum based off of the Virginia standards for that.
Of quality?
Yeah, of quality.
Okay.
Quality.
But we would also, in order to meet that, we would have to, our pond would have to get larger as we're proposing now, because there's a whole lot of extra things you have to add in just to meet the quality part of it. If we were to go underground, there's underground structures that provide a little bit more treatment on site that you could get credit for. So there is an avenue where we could, you know, possibly only have to worry about doing 80% of the credits off-site, depending on what we do.
I didn't know. I just wanted to get some kind of a view on that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other questions?
I think I would make a motion that we would accept this petition and that the minutes would reflect the comments that Mr. Pratt had said, and that would be my motion.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Well,
Thank y'all.
congratulations and good luck with council.
Y'all have a good day.
Thank you all so much.
Yes.
Is there any other business? Is there any other considerations? What's,
Just to let you know, you should not have a meeting on August 14th. We probably won't have any items for that, so.
okay, so so if we don't have it so the next meeting would either be the one in September that we move for the work session, or the last meeting in August, is that correct?
I'd have to check on the second meeting in August. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if we have items for that, but
So
yeah, no
there-
meeting on the 14th.
Go ahead.
There's some placards up on Old Forest Road,
Somewhat.
like rezoning placards, signs, notices.
Which part of Old Forest?
Up near University of Lynchburg, going to multifamily.
Those are probably out of date. We did have one petition in that area that ended up withdrawing.
Okay,
So if it's the one I'm thinking of.
near
then-
Blackwater Creek Park. Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
I can ask those to be removed, because those should come down if they don't move forward, so.
Okay.
How about the one on Langland Road that's across from the Hacienda House?
The fence.
The fence, is it a fence?
Oh, so that is actually, I believe it's a BZA, a Board of Zoning Appeals case. They have the same sign requirements. We just see those a lot less as public hearings. They wanted to get a variance for fence height.
Oh, fence height.
Yeah, I believe they have to take out those trees that have been kind of growing over the road, and they want a taller fence than would normally be allowed in a front yard. So they're working with the Board of Zoning Appeals on that.
Did the city ask them to remove those bushes? Is that what it is?
I'm not sure of the specifics,
I
but
just thought that was, it's hard to read as you come around that.
it is. It's a little dangerous, actually.
Yes, but it, yes, that clarifies that. I was confused.
Yeah, so that one's not a land use
Okay,
case that we'll be talking about.
okay.
So I have a question that you might be able to shed a little light on, just because I'm curious. I noticed that there was a oil change place that was going to potentially locate on Ward's Road, and it is at an old car wash. and they pulled their plans, had to do with filling in the floodplain, but they were going to leave the place the same height. What is the issue in a situation like that? Because I'm sure that came to y'all's office. It was a take 5 oil change.
It did, and they have put that on hold at least for now. In the floodplain, there are special requirements for storage of petroleum and oil and that sort of thing. So I know that they had talked with our floodplain manager and were going to chat with their engineering team about whether they could move forward with that to meet the requirements. Basically, you have to secure it and make sure it'll not float away in the event that
Right.
flooding occurs. So
Right.
special considerations based on that specific use.
Where's that at?
Well, it's where the car wash is now. There's, I don't know, there's a bunch of people kind of bowling up in there, but it was interesting because I think that the convenience store that we heard also had what looked like an oil change place, and that's been taken off of their plan.
Oh, further upwards road?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I wonder if it was the same issue, being that, but of course, gas is stored underground too.
The one by Cookout?
Yeah,
Did they have an oil change?
it had an outbuilding that you'd assume would be an oil change place.
I'll tell you what.
Could be a car wash too, I guess.
I'll tell you what, we're going, if there's a motion to adjourn, we're going to close the public side.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I just always get nervous when you start talking about stuff.